Man that's kicked more goals than anyone this year, leading the Coleman medal and doing very well are the Kangaroos. The story of the year for mine. Ben Brown joins us. Ben, welcome.
Thanks, Sam.
It's been an unbelievable year. You're sixth on the ladder at 7-4. You've won more games this year than the entirety of last year. You can't sit there and tell us that you're not surprised, surely.
Oh, yeah. I think, you always hope that you can play well and win some games, but I think even we, probably internally, while we had a lot of belief, perhaps we didn't think we'd be, 7-4 this time of the year. But, I think the belief has just grown. I think maybe if you'd asked us at the start of the year, perhaps not. But once we got going, I think that belief really started to grow and we've got a lot of belief now.
A lot of talk about all of the goals and Waite's on fire, you're on fire kicking goals. But it's been built off defence. Not a lot of people are talking about how good your defence has been. Is that something that you worked on, obviously, all over the summer? Because I reckon the last 3 years, wins that you've had, you've always been able to score, but it's defending that you've had trouble with. Yeah,
definitely. And I think that comes back to a little bit the guys that we've got in our back line, a couple of them in particular. I mean, you've got Robbie Tarrant, who's put together a real good body of work now as a key defender, and Scott Thompson is playing as well as he has in his career. When you've got guys like that leading your back line, and then you've got guys like, it's really sad that Ed Vickers-Willis has hurt his knee and he'll be out for an extended period because he was going great. But we've had just guys come in and be able to fill those roles in the smaller defensive post too, and made a really, really outstanding back six.
Yeah, there's no doubt about North Melbourne being able to keep your core group together. Just the goal kicking is the thing I'm really interested in. What does a week at your club look like for you in terms of what you do to better yourself in the actual art of goal kicking?
I'll try to make sure that I suppose I get a good quantity of shots in during the week. And that's really what it's about for me, is making sure that I...
Quantity? What are you talking?
I suppose if I can get up towards 100 in a week, depending on the week. I mean, shorter weeks, if you've got a bit of a a sore knee or whatever it is at the particular time, you're obviously not going to have as many. But I try to make sure I'm having shots after every session.
And we're just going to have a look at a bit of vision here of the run-up. It's a long run-up, extended long run-up. Why do you feel comfortable with this really longer run-up than normal?
I think I've just done it for so long, pretty much ever since I started my career at North anyway, and before that at Werribee and Glenorchy Footy Club before that. I suppose I always had that long run-up, and I grew up as a ruck primarily, playing in Tassie, so needed to actually develop the routine from there, and I suppose it just grew ever since I passed on from the TSL and through the VFL and now here.
That's what you need to do, stick at it.
Yep.
Same thing all the time. Yep.
Ben, we were speaking a bit later on about mature age recruits. You were one of them, drafted after 3 years as a 21-year-old. Do you think that period of time really helped you physically and mentally prepare for AFL footy, come in and make an impact straight away, more so than if you were picked up as a skinny, raw 18-year-old? Yeah,
absolutely. I think mentally it definitely helped in terms of I really wanted it when I got that opportunity. Yep. And I'd also, I mean, you look at it from a different perspective. I had a few years where I was at university studying, living out of home with a good mate of mine, and I suppose I had that bit of time to get used to what life was like outside of that footy bubble, which I think maybe a few guys come in as an 18-year-old and you don't have that experience. So I did really want it when I got to AFL level, but I suppose physically as well. I think back to my under-18s year when I hurt my knee in the first place, and I think I was playing at about 80 or 84 kilos as a ruck, so playing for Tassie. So I've obviously put on a little bit of size since then as well.
Benny, what do you think about the tactics being used against yourself at the moment? Because when you run and jump at the footy, you time the flight of the ball really well. When you run and jump at it and put your hands up, there is no possible way for a defender to actually spoil you without...
Have a look at this. He got harshly dealt with on the weekend.
Yeah, but without giving a free kick away. And I know Alistair Clarkson has brought it to light over the last couple of weeks, players blocking and stopping your run. What are you trying to do, during training? Obviously, you've got goal kicking and everything else, but are you trying to do something that doesn't allow you to be blocked, or so you can get a run at it?
What's the question, Wayne?
Well, the question is, does he think the tactics being used against him are unfair? And do you do anything to try and get around it?
I think Harris Andrews is obviously a great defender and played really well the other night. And you're always trying to, I suppose, think of different ways to beat the opposition, because if you slow down at any point in this game, as you'd know, you guys having played a similar position, defenders get you pretty quickly. So you're always trying to think of new ways to beat the defence, and obviously there'll be different tactics which come at you, and you've got to be able to be adaptable when those come up. So definitely working on that at training as much as I can, and yeah.
Are some of those unfair?
No, I don't think so. As long as I think the main thing is as long as it's consistently umpired, and we know what you can do and what you can't do in contests. As long as it's like that, and it's the same for everyone. I don't have an issue
He's not
with
a
that.
complainer. He got harshly dealt with. Don't worry about
And
that.
you were one of the players, Ben, that Alistair Clarkson actually specifically brought up, and I think the role that Dane Rampy had played on you. So when the conversation started getting talked about, did you automatically know where Clarko was coming from?
Yeah, I suppose so. It was funny. Me and Lee Tudor had a bit of who's the forwards coach at the club, and who's been doing a lot of work with me. We had a bit of a chuckle to ourselves during that week, and so we weren't exactly going to stop Clarko having any chats that he needed to have.
Right.
But as a forward, you always want to have a little bit more freedom to run and jump at the ball, and I like to think that when I do get that run and jump at the ball, that I'm pretty hard to stop in the air. So anything that probably makes that a little bit easier to do, and as long as my run isn't impeded too much, I'm happy with that.
You're a little bit like Wayne, and Wayne's a part vegan. You're a full vegan. What does that mean in terms of your preparation in terms of health for footy? Does it affect you in any way?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's something that I've, I suppose, transitioned to over a long period of time, and my football was really important, and that I made sure that I, was really preparing myself in the right way for my career. I think the good thing about it now is that, I've put a lot of time into making sure that my diet is really sound, which is probably something I wouldn't have done so much when I was actually eating meat. So I'm probably more on top of my diet than I've ever been, and feeling really good.
Benny, you've never really had a form slump. One of the most consistent forwards in the game, only held goalless 14 times in your 88-game career. How do you do that? Because quite often you're outnumbered, the delivery into the forward line hasn't been great, you're the big focal point up there. How's it been that in the 4 seasons you've got better and better, more goals every single season you've played?
I think it's probably down to a lot of things, but I mean, having guys around you who are obviously playing really well as well helps, and having guys like Jared Waits come in, played some amazing football for a guy who's getting on in terms of your footy career. He probably won't like me saying that, but Mason Wood's come in, done amazing things. That definitely makes life easier for me. And I think one thing this year has been our mids have been really outstanding. I mean, when you've got guys like Sean Higgins kicking the ball to you, that makes life a lot easier too. And Paul Ahern, who came in on the weekend, has had to work so hard and come out and had 29 touches, I think, in a debut game. Not many guys can say that.
And Mason Wood kicking to you, as you say, as well. It's pretty nice to live. Your knee, you're bandaged every week. There is my understanding is there's some sort of long-term issue there with you that's never going to be resolved, so you've just got to learn to cope with it. Is that right? Yeah,
absolutely. And I've done a lot of work to make sure that I get my landing patterns right, to make sure that I've strengthened it in the gym. A lot of credit, I suppose, has to go to the physio staff at the club, the strength and conditioning staff, to make sure that when I get out on game day, I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. I do the work, I suppose, during the week. If I have to have a session where I'm a little bit lighter on, then I do that. And I think I'm getting better at learning how my body reacts to certain activities. But yeah, whenever I go out on game day,
is that a bone-on-bone thing? Is it?
No. It's not as simple as that. It's probably there's been issues over a long period of time, but the thing is, I don't have to worry about it on game day. I haven't missed a game in a long time, and that's the great thing about it is I think doing the work during the week and over the years as I've done means that I can be 100% confident when I run out on game day that I've done the best thing for it.
I don't think there's too many in the team at the moment that are not having career best years. I mean, Goldstein's been an All-Australian, so let's say he's a little bit off that, but having a better year than last year. But just about everyone else has gone to another level.
Yeah, and I think having the players out there, really helps that as well. And I think it's not just the players that have put in the work too. It's the coach, it's the assistant coaches. Like I said, it's the physios and the strength and conditioning staff. It's a club-wide thing. I think everyone's put in a lot of work, and now you're seeing that, I suppose, being paid back with guys like Ben Jacobs getting out onto the track and playing really good footy. Sam Wright playing good footy. Mason Wood was out for a bunch of last year. So was Wadey. So when you get guys like that all back into the side at the same time, I think each player helps each other get better, which is a massive thing for us too.
Hey, Big Freeze 4, I know you're not playing on Queen's Birthday Monday, but your coach is going to be there. By the way, this thing is incredible. You know, all the coaches they just said yes. There was no negotiating, arguing or anything. They just simply agreed to do it. Your coach is one of them in Brad Scott. You got any ideas of what sort of get-up he should... is he a sort of a budgie smuggler man? What is he?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'll be really interested to see what he pulls out.
We will too.
It's an outstanding cause, which I hope.
Can you believe that they've got them all together?
I sort of can't believe it, but I think it's great that they've all put their hand up and said, yes, we're going to do it. I think everyone knows about Neil Danaher and what he's been through and what so many people out there do go through with MND. So it's great what everyone's doing.
Righto, we've got a social media question. As we do, we always try to get people involved. We've got one here from Paul, who asks, Ben, how is Sam Wright's head after kicking potentially goal of the year? Loves to sneak down for a sausage. I think we've got vision of the incident.
He does. Well, he was a small forward back probably before I got to the club. He was a small forward. So I still don't know how he did it. I was about 20 metres away, and it's the first goal he's kicked in a couple of years too. So I think everyone got around him pretty hard.
Hey Ben, we appreciate you coming in. It's been a fantastic year for you and the Roos. Hopefully, when we speak to you again in 3 months, we'll be talking about you winning the Coleman and North in September.
Sounds great.
It does. You've hit 40,000 members as well, which is absolutely fantastic. If you want to get involved, membership.nmfc.com.au, or you can call 1300 Kangas. It's now time for a break. Injured